Baltimore Ravens, you have my attention.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. 38-6. They absolutely stomp the Lions in a game that I was so excited about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting there this afternoon, right as the games are about to start. It's probably like 10 minutes beforehand, and I'm like, oh man, Mike McDonald was my assistant coach of the year coming into the year. I'm so excited about this Ravens defense against this Lions offense. This is a fantastic noon game. The first drive or so, I'm at my in-laws' house and I'm just reacting to everything that's happening. It was just the type of game that I could not wait to enjoy and watch.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was a boat race the entire time. It just unfolded in a way I don't think anyone could have anticipated with the way the Lions were playing coming into this game and with some of the inconsistencies that we've seen from the Ravens. But the problem is for Detroit, this game was always coming for Baltimore. This game was always coming. If they could avoid shooting themselves in the foot, they had shown these sort of flashes on offense. This was the performance where it all came together at the same time. And I think it showed everyone how scary this team can be when they're firing on all cylinders.
This is why you look at how a team is moving the ball and you hope that it just normalizes in the red zone. Because when a team goes 5 for 5 to start in the red zone, 5 touchdowns, 5 trips, that this is what a team can look like. This was Lamar's best game in terms of EPA per dropback since 2019, since 2019. And it was his best game, period, EPA per dropback of any game that he had 30 or more dropbacks. So like this was Lamar at his best. Like him on third down today, this whole offense, they're down. I mean, they didn't have that many third downs. I thought that I was looking through True Media during the afternoon. I was like, man, they haven't updated the Ravens game. And it was like, it's because they only had like 5 third downs going into like the fourth quarter or something like that. They were just churning out yards, explosives. Designs were great. Lamar ad-libbing was great. It was just, yeah, they've been sitting on this.
It was everything. It was everything coming together. And the designs on the first couple drives, we can go over some of them. It was beautiful. Yeah. And so you talked about the first downs on early downs, how they didn't get to third down. When I was watching some of the things that they put together early in the game, I was like, oh man, they are getting in heavy personnel with Ricard and Andrews on the field, and they're just slinging it on early downs. So on first down against base personnel in the first half, Lamar was 7 of 8 for 144 yards.
Yeah, that's pretty
18 yards per attempt. They had 17 first downs on 37 plays in the first half. That's how much this offense was rolling. And it was a little bit of everything. So you had a lot of jet motion on the first drive. Yep. The moment that they had the triple option RPO to Beckham on like the second play of the game, I was like, okay, we're cooking now. Like this is the type of stuff that you want to see from them. And they had the dig to Zay Flowers when Andrews is running a little shallow. That was out of heavy personnel. So you got 3 linebackers on the field. Just everything that they were doing in the passing game was clicking. I'm sure you saw some things that you thought were particularly interesting as well.
Oh boy. The first touchdown, like Lamar's first touchdown was great. The rushing touchdown. They just took advantage of Hutchinson over, screaming downhill. He plays with his ears pinned back. And
I love them going for it there. And them going for it on that fourth down. I wanted to mention that too. They asked for the ball after winning the toss. And I think that is such an indication of how they felt coming into this game.
Yeah.
So they wanted the ball on the first drive. They go down. It's 4th and 1. They go for it and score a touchdown. They were ready. Like they knew that they were going to be able to press the right buttons in this game.
It was just, I mean, the first third down was RPO and how calm it was. Like Lamar's knew this next stage that he's playing at. You can see because I would say he's about 80% of his speed that maybe he was like when he first entered the league. That just happens. He's getting older. He's had some injuries, but it's now this kind of crafty scrambling and crafty running and just dropping it in. And what he's doing from the pocket's just amazing. Like they were great against the blitz today because the Lions tried to blitz him a couple times and they had a play action where they were backed up. Gus Bus goes the wrong way. He doesn't pick up the blitzer. And Lamar, because he's operating so perfectly on time, he just beats the free runner, beats the blitzer, hits the over route to OBJ, and just goes for a big gain. All the third down, like he had an RPO that he ad libs on. Then Bateman on over on 3rd and 7, 3rd and 3 in the red zone. More chemistry with Nelson Aguilar on a play that took like 10 seconds in time to throw. Like it's just everything. All the third downs were kind of just him identifying different weapons and then also just hit the ball from the pocket, and then just that little bit of creation. The 3rd and 11, he hits a deep out route to Zay Flowers, who runs on like a great route. It was just, and then red zone plays to Mark Andrews. It was just like everybody got featured at different parts. This is what we wanted to see from the Ravens
I'm
offense.
telling you, it all came together at the same time. It was every
Rattling them
single
all
aspect of
because
it.
it was every play. Even Ricard got like a fake chip play that like where he just releases down the field, because I was trying to figure that out if that was designed to be like
Oh,
chip release. Yeah, it
I
was pretty
absolutely think
nice.
that was a real
It
design.
was great.
He's eaten a lot of shit on this show. He had a really nice game today. A few different aspects. He
Nice
was
blocking.
fantastic in pass protection today.
Yeah.
When they were bringing extra bodies at the quarterback, he was really good in protection. That play that you're talking about, it was the 3rd and 7 that they hit to Bateman on the 2nd drive.
Yeah.
They brought a pretty big blitz. I think they brought 6, and I want to say Ricard was in to block on that. And Simpson and Linderbaum did a fantastic job passing it off, and they hit Bateman coming over on the crosser. Ricard, they had 2 runs today out of 20 personnel. So it was 3 receivers, Ricard in the game as a tight end. They averaged, I want to say, like 25 yards per carry on those 2 runs. They did on the same drive. They had back-to-back chunk plays to Justice Hill and to Edwards. They were both out of 20 personnel, so they got light bodies on the field as a result of that. And Ricard just washed Hutchinson out on the huge Edwards touchdown, and he had that chunk play as a receiver. So when he's having the game of his season, you combine that with everything else, that's when you know a team is rolling. And that's before we even get to what they did on defense today.
Right. Oh man. I was just gonna say too is that this Lamar had a perfect QB rating through 3 quarters until the last 3rd down, and also Todd Monken is a notorious over aggressive high fiver. Like that is like he has a rep of being a very hard high fiver, and it got caught on camera today. So until we move to the defense, I wanted to bring that up. But man, they were playing all the Lions kind of staples. They love getting crossers, especially on 3rd down. Crossers and a mesh which is 2 crossers, or a crosser and then the running back releasing and running a burst route, which is you're creating like a mesh kind of crossing play. How the Ravens played this out on defense in their quarters coverage, and watching their linebackers, the safeties, that everybody communicate, and then the pass rush just getting home. It was just a cohesive defense, and this is what they have shown so far, but we weren't sure maybe about against a good offense. And the Lions are a good offense, so this Lions defense was just taking it to them. I mean, they couldn't get anything through the ground or the air during this whole. I mean, when the game mattered, I should say.
It was a great combination. It was what we talked about on Thursday.
Yeah,
you don't know what they're going to do. There's so many different ways that they can attack you. They don't blitz a lot, but they blitz selectively and effectively. So you're sitting there on 1st down, and Millette comes clean on a sim pressure coming off the edge. They have Humphrey comes clean on a slot pressure at one point. There are other plays where they're mugged up and they're dropping out, and they had no feel for what was going to happen. And I thought that the front played really well when they were asked to rush for. Matabike gets home on that sack on the 1st drive. It's just a simple stunt. So you don't have to blitz to get pressure because the way the defensive line was playing. I thought the secondary did a great job communicating. And I thought the Roquan Smith was, again, just phenomenal in this game. Yeah. There was that drive early in the 2nd half. I tweeted out a series of plays from it. I want to say it was the 3rd down where he just gets perfect depth underneath Laporta, and Queen drops right into kind of that curl area. Goff has to eat it. That's one play. They ran a little swing screen to Amon-Ra St. Brown on the left side. Roquan tracks it down all the way on the sideline, working through traffic for like a 2-yard gain. The Lions go for it on 4th down. They get it. They get down into the red zone. They try to get Roquan on a little, like, I don't know what you would call it. Like you take the crosser and then take it vertical, like against the middle linebacker, essentially.
Yeah. In the red zone.
And that's a lot of teams do that. It's just a good way to isolate the linebacker in coverage against the receiver in zone coverage. And Roquan just eats it up on 4th down.
Yeah.
And almost intercepted it in the back
of
the end
route or an up route or something.
I can't remember what Olsen called it. He called it something. He had a specific word for it when he was describing it's Kevin Burkhardt. But you see a lot of teams do that. Just to isolate a linebacker in coverage, take it vertical with the receiver.
Try and get him
against
to come
most
downhill.
Linebackers. It works. And against that guy and the way that he's playing right now, it did not work. So we've talked a lot about Ben Johnson and a lot about this Lions offense. he is going to be a head coach next year. I think
Mhm.
he's going to be very sought after as a head coach next year. His counterpart on the defensive side of the ball is the guy who was calling defense for the Ravens today.
Yeah.
Like Mike McDonald has done a fantastic job over the last 2 years in his tenure as the Ravens defensive coordinator. He's my age, 35. I mean, he's in his mid 30s. He is somebody who I think has a lot of fans around the league. He has garnered a lot of respect from offensive coaches around the league. And he is going to be somebody whose name starts coming up more and more often as we get deeper into the season because of the way that this unit is playing.
It's the variations, the varying up what they run, especially on passing downs, is what's so cool because they run it so well. And Roquan is a big part of that, their whole spine, but just using them in smart ways has been so like that. It's sometimes it's just it sounds so simple, but just use guys how their roles should be, like how their roles, what their gifts should be. And one instance was later in the game, is it's about 4 scores at this point and 7 years ago. But it was third down, it was man coverage, and they had queen hug rush, which is what the Bucks like to do, or did like they used to like to do with Devin White, and which was instead of having him running the coverage and trying to sort out something in zone, which is have him kind of half ass rush the passer, but he's kind of in man coverage because then the running back commits. But what this does is this is great. Jahmyr Gibbs, who's already probably pretty worried to be in pass protection, he comes up. So now you don't have Jahmyr Gibbs running a route. So now that's great. Now you have Patrick Queen rushing the quarterback. He creates a pressure on Goff. And there's Roquan Smith as the whole player, which is just that he's sitting in the middle there. He reads the play and the play's busted. And like that was just kind of like the dagger third down right there. But that was just it's just man. It's just cover one. It's everybody runs it, but they just used just a couple tweaks, nice little front change, just using their guys in the right spots, and it works. And they just do that over and over on defense, and their guys are playing really well. And a lot of guys up front on defense have leveled up. Like their front has all leveled up like across the board.
Yeah,
so
everybody's playing well. Clowney is everything
stuff.
you could have asked for. Signing him when you did, getting
Yeah.
him in August for the contract that they did, he's perfect for their defense.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
not asking him
Push,
just
push,
to
push,
be a
push.
pure edge rusher, push, stunts, just being kind of a
Oweh's
slasher
been
against
playing
the
well.
run. Oweh came back today. He
Yep.
had some nice moments, and then Matabike really has taken that step forward.
He has.
So it's just a bunch of guys where there's no superstars outside of Smith, and then when Humphrey is right, but you have very few holes. I thought, again, Millette played well today. He's another guy that they just signed off the street this offseason. I thought Brandon Stevens had some really nice moments today at corner, and then we know what Hamilton is, and even Geno Stone, who's had to come in and play for them now with Marcus Williams hurt. Every time he's had to play this season when Williams has been out, he has more than answered the bell. Like he is an upper echelon sort of defensive player in the hierarchy on most NFL teams with the way that he's played right now. And he's just another guy on the Ravens defense. And I think that really says a lot about what they've gotten out of that entire unit over the course of the season.
Probably. Okay, one last shout out to the Ravens offense. Ronnie Stanley was playing like a maniac today.
That's also huge. The line period played so well.
So well. And we were noticing that they were playing okay even as they were coming back from injuries and everything. And it was like, it wasn't cohesive, but it wasn't like they were playing awful. And so now that they're getting healthy and you got Ronnie Stanley actually playing consecutive games, it's like now you're seeing some cohesion up there. And that's why you're going to be able to see better pockets for Lamar to work out of. Lamar's even a better scrambler where those pockets are better. He can pick and choose which lanes to go into. He's not getting forced and funneled. So that's why he's picking and choosing his spots and extending plays. It's all just working just perfectly. Like it really is.
And you saw that so often today where he just had a extra half second with a lot of space in the middle of the pocket. Linderbaum held up really well today.
Yeah.
So I was so impressed. And I thought that the help that they gave them was there were chips in the right moments. They kept Ricard in the right moments. Again, just pressing all the right buttons.
They did a fake big play to Andrews in the red zone. It was like a fake sweep with Lamar. It was like using Lamar like LaDainian Tomlinson. Like that's what it kind of looked like, oh, I'm gonna run it. And then it throw
again out of like 13 personnel.
Yeah, heavy personnel.
They just heavy personnel on the field. They looked at run. And then the last design thing, the little handoff back the other way to Keaton Mitchell, who has a ton of juice. I mean, you can name off 15 plays that the Ravens ran today and the designs associated with them and be impressed with it. It didn't say it when you mentioned it the first time. One last thing. That completion is Zay Flowers, him being able that it was just simple football. That is, you are terrified of me vertical. I'm just going to run like a comeback on 3rd and 11. The fact that they have those guys on the outside that can now create those one-on-one matchup advantages combined with everything else we're talking about, it's really exciting stuff.
It is.
So spinning this forward a little bit, I think the Lions are a very good football team. I think they ran into a buzzsaw today.
Yep.
Again, that just everything fell into place. Still think the Lions are going to be a pretty good team moving forward. This game doesn't make me that worried about them. This game does make me think that we were right to believe that the Ravens were kind of sleeping giant, maybe overstating it, but they were kind of hanging in wait as one of the teams that's going to be very relevant in the AFC playoff picture. Like the version of the Ravens that we saw today is going to be right there till the end. And if a guy in Kansas City didn't put on the show he did today, I would come away from this game feeling very good about Lamar Jackson's MVP candidacy over the course of the rest of the season.